Thanks a lot for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is International Forum, reaching you live from ITV. Anyway, it's all about the Israel-Gaza, we call it Hamas war, and the prospect of Israel eliminating totally, eradicating totally, like what they promised to do Hamas in Gaza. They're moving gradually. They're in Rafah right now, but they want to move to the east where we have the Hezbollah fighters, and that might just be, if not well controlled, another war. With me here in the studio to talk about this, I have a legal practitioner, public affairs commentator. Join me to welcome Barrister Emmanuel Obakpolo. Barrister, welcome to International Forum. I appreciate your coming.
Good afternoon, Nigerians. It's a delight being here.
All right, what's about international relation? I call him Don, I call him Prof. When listening to me, it's like you're just there in class, because it's going to give you a breakdown analysis of the historical antecedent of what we're talking about. Join me to welcome Don Felix. Oh, sorry, man. Prof, welcome. I call you the Prof in this particular discussion. Welcome.
Yes, welcome. Good afternoon.
All right, when all this started, 6 months and counting, so to speak, or beyond that, you're like saying that our aim is to uproot the fabric of Hamas in Gaza. No holds barred. We're going straight down there from the north, the Chesapeake, to the west, or from the south to the north, or north to south, whatever. But persons were displaced because of the hunt of Hamas militia group. Israel said they want them all out because of what they did to Israel on October 7, and they've not forgotten about it. It's there fresh in their memory. As it stands today, what do you feel about this, and how close do you think is Israel in uprooting or eliminating totally Hamas militia group in Gaza? Prof.
Okay, thank you, Wesley, and let's take it from the perspective that Israel has an objective, which is to decimate Hamas as a terrorist organization, so described by Israel and most of the Western states, that operates in the West Bank and in Gaza, in Palestine. It is interesting that total elimination wouldn't be possible. Let me give an analogy that will make it very easy. This cartoon we watch, Tom and Jerry, it's what we use to teach the theory of perpetual conflict. And what is this theory of perpetual conflict? It is that conflict must happen. It is normal. In all human relations, there will be time when people will have disagreement that will lead to outbreak of either hostility or exchange of words or any way they want to express themselves. So there is bound to be conflict. It does happen. And secondly, if you watch Tom and Jerry, at a point in time, they will start going against each other. Sometimes you will see Tom decimating Jerry, and you see Jerry decimating Tom, but do they actually die? No. With all that they do to each other, they will still come back. So when we say Israel has gone all out against Hamas, there is no way Israel can successfully annihilate Hamas or obliterate Hamas into non-existence. What Israel has set out to do, which we must acknowledge here, is that since 1948 that the state of Israel was pronounced, they've not gone to this extent. This is sustained action to bring to heel a particular organization that has become a thorn in their flesh. And Hamas does not play by the rules of the book. Hamas uses terror tactics to advance its objectives. Israel as a state has to play by rules of engagement. So that's why you find that the IDF forces have to follow protocol and procedure in their engagement. But Hamas does not do that. The October 2023 attack that started all these events, of course, Hamas launched a sudden attack. And while Hamas was launching attack, Hezbollah, that is based in Lebanon, is collaborating. And Hezbollah is backed by Syria and Iran. So there is going to be a broader conflagration subsequently. But for now, Netanyahu's government has gone after Hamas with an objective to make sure that Hamas ceases to be a threat to the existence of Israel as a modern state. And in the last 6 months, with what they have done so far, Hamas is on the run. We cannot remove that. But take a look at the mortalities. In terms of statistics, the day of the attack, Israel lost over 1,200 plus citizens, and about 200 plus were taken hostage. From the time Israel started our response to date, over 32,000 Palestinians and counting have gone to meet their creator. So you can see that it is not a funny situation. And interestingly, unlike in previous engagements in 67, in 73, even in 48, when Israel had to fight with nations, fight with Egypt, with Syria, with Lebanon, combined nations, the total mortalities were not up to this number. And Israel has not declared a war formally. They have only said that they are responding against Hamas as a terrorist organization that is operating in Gaza. And that's why you see that they are moving people from one part of the location to the other. They've crossed the middle point now, and they say that they will soon face, because from what Netanyahu said, that the intense action against Hamas in the southern part of the country has reached its peak. Yeah. Now they want to move towards the north, where they will likely take on Hezbollah. And they are saying they will de-escalate the action on Hamas, where they have achieved most of their objective by routing them from their hiding places, tracing most of their tunnels that they used to get arms supplies from the West Bank, from Egypt, from the border crossing, and they, as much as possible, engaged Hamas one-on-one. Most of the Hamas leaders have either been eliminated or they are on the run. Even those outside of Israel are being tracked. It's an all-out engagement. So Netanyahu so far has pushed that narrative, but Netanyahu's government, you know, it's a coalition government, yeah, they risk collapse if they step back at this stage.
We'll come to that point. We'll come to that point because of this discussion. Well, Barrister, you heard him. Now, what do you feel about this? Have they really succeeded in eliminating Hamas?
Well, it is going to be an Herculean task, because looking at the situation, the terrain, though Israel understands the terrain they find themselves, and that is why they'll be able to make some success, so to speak. If I am to give the rating, I think I will rate Israel 60–70% just now.
60–70%?
Yes.
Is that not too high?
It's not. You know, looking at Hamas as a terrorist organization, Hamas is not based in Gaza. Their base is not only in Gaza. They have this widespread around that territory. And that's why you also see them have nexus with other terrorist organizations like Hezbollah and others. And they have sponsors from some rich Arab nations. You know, over the time, the practice or act of terrorism is an ideology. It's not something that just comes in and goes out. It takes time. And you find even underage persons involved in the act, those who have been groomed. And they took time to groom them from childhood even to adulthood. Some are still very young, and you see them carried out this ideological doctrine or practice that they are into. So it is going to be a very difficult one. And for Israel to totally eliminate Hamas, then Israel must also step into other territories. And just like my co-panelist here said, the lecturer, you discover that Israel is playing in accordance or in consonance with the rules of the games. Also have it in mind that the world at large, particularly the United Nations, is also trying to streamline Israel's activity. Because if we go back to history, 1948, you go back to 1967 to 1973, when Israel took on the 12 Arab nations. You see that it took Israel 3-4 years to come out successful. But this time around, it will be more difficult because Israel is not going after nations, as it were, but Israel is going after a particular set. And this set, some of these persons, these neighboring nations, also embrace them, and they have other sister organizations that also assist them with arms and other things. You know, Israel tries to use science and technology to see how they can overcome, and they have succeeded because just now, the tunnels, Israel will be able to penetrate the tunnels and ensure that these persons are no longer hiding in all of these places. But there is still more to achieve. And also, the world at this point in time is also calling that there should be a ceasefire. There should be a stop or a cease to all of this trouble going on between Israel and Hamas. But to eliminate Hamas, I think it is going to be an Herculean task. It's not an easy one.
Now, he said 60% from his own analysis that they've done up to that. But you feel that they've been able to carry out this purge, so to speak, up to that particular percentage he talked about. And of course, you take a look at the resignation of Gantz and the resignation also of some other top officials in the war committee, how will I put it now, put together by Netanyahu. This time around, they've been disbanded. Now they're saying that the parliament should be the one, how will I put it now, starting with responsibility, oversight to see what is really happening in this particular operation. Take it up from there.
Well, you cannot remove internal politics from the actions of a constitutionally elected government. Remember, Israel, the government is a coalition. Yeah. Even within Netanyahu's cabinet, there are persons that feel that they are not pushing fast enough. Others are feeling they are pushing too hard and too fast. Now, it's not going to be easy for Netanyahu to walk this talk because a lot of arguments are coming from different sides. The U.S. is mounting pressure, asking for restraint. The United Nations is asking for restraint. Other countries are asking Israel to restrain from use of excessive force. And how would you classify excessive force when the man's country was invaded, his citizens were taken hostage, some have been killed, some were, in fact, the attack was live streamed. As it was happening, you see them using paragliders, launching rockets, using all kinds of opportunities they have to breach the security line and make inroads into Israel. So it will be difficult for Netanyahu. I agree. But there is this concept that the developed world uses, which we must come to terms with. They will tell you that anything impossible, they will start it immediately. Whatever is difficult, they will do it later. So in the long run, nothing is really impossible. So Netanyahu has a challenge. He's a leader and he will continue to forge ahead. The objective is to reduce Hamas to a point where it should no longer constitute a threat. I use that term because it is not going to be possible to eliminate Hamas altogether. That is not humanly possible. Hamas is not just inside Gaza. It has tentacles everywhere. It has sympathizers. It has supporters. And if you look at the whole spectrum very well, Hamas, do they wear a uniform? No. That is the greatest danger. I use the word, I say Israel has to play by rules of engagement. Israel will send soldiers who are kitted, who you identify as a member of IDF. How do you know members of Hamas? You don't know them. And they mix with the civilian population. That is why they use human shields. They will pick women and children and bring them in front to masquerade their activities. They stay in residential quarters. They launch rockets from homes and hospitals and schools. And when you retaliate, somebody will now say, oh, you have attacked civilian settings. You have not gone for military. Is Hamas a regular military organization? No, it's a militia. Hezbollah is the same. And they have been classified as terrorist organizations who use violence to advance their objective. They don't play by the rules of the book. Yet, when you are engaging them as a state, you will have to play by the rules of the book. And the world will always judge the powerful in favor of the weak. Meanwhile, the weak is also a threat to the strong. So in this game, there's no way, these are power games, nations play. There's no way Israel will suddenly just back down. You have asked a question, how is Netanyahu faring in this cabinet? He has done what he should do as a leader. If there are disputes within the cabinet and the cabinet is not following the vision of the leader, those people, as they did, which is right, they resigned honorably. Now the cabinet has said, okay, this war committee is not meeting the objective of the president. It was Netanyahu that was voted for, not the members of the committee. Yeah. So he has to carry the burden of directing affairs. Now he has called in parliament. So it is now a committee of the whole. The parliament will now be working, and you cannot declare war without parliamentary assent. So even the committee exists at the instance of the parliament. And when there are disputes like that, some people will tell you, we do not accept the method you are using. Sometimes, in most cases in developed societies, you'll be asked to quietly tender your resignation. Either you support the process wholeheartedly or you step out of the line so that those who can support the process will continue. But the fact remains that Hezbollah, Hamas are threats to Israel's existence. The fact also remains that Hamas went very, very far this time around. The fact remains that Hamas live-streamed the attack on Israel in October last year to make Israel, to ridicule the government and to ridicule the security structure. Now the security structure has woken up. It is responding. And the security structure has said they will not slow down until, if possible, catch the last member of Hamas. That would be a very difficult thing to do. But they have put their foot to the task. They've put their foot on the plow. They said they're not looking back.
Okay, now since the war, so to speak, right now for orchestrating this war or this onslaught against Hamas have been thrown open to member of parliament, do you see Benjamin Netanyahu experiencing any form of impediment in the sense that it's like a coalition government, Barrister?
He's already experiencing that. The internal politics, and also there is also an external one, external politics against Netanyahu, his person. You know, so many persons, particularly from the Arab world, and even some of persons from Africa here, have criticized Netanyahu as a person. Some not even Israel. And we saw South Africa went to court trying to use the long arm of the law to stop Netanyahu from further search and fight against Hamas. But nobody is talking of the disaster that Hamas did against Israel. Netanyahu, once upon a time, you remember, he left as the prime minister of Israel. He lost the election, and somehow, the man has come back again because of the coalition. So there will always be those who would take advantage of a situation like this one just now to see how they can begin to paint his person black and also try to make connection to what they call genocide. But looking at it deeply, you will discover that Israel's sole interest is to protect our people and its territory.
You just hold on now. You continue with your line of thought immediately after this break. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Thanks a lot for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is International Forum taking a look at the Israel-Hamas war, the prospect of Israel eliminating Hamas as well to trying to wait. Don't forget that Netanyahu talked about eliminating the presence of Hamas in Gaza. The fight so far, how far have they been able to fulfill that promise? I have with me in the studio two wonderful gentlemen that are giving us season analysis of what they feel about what is happening right now between Israel and Hamas. I have I call him the Prof. Yes, Felix Osarimi, and of course Barrister Obapolo Emmanuel. Barrister, well, before we went on that break, please continue with your line of thought about the trouble, so to speak, being experienced right now by Benjamin Netanyahu because of this war.
Yes, well, some persons have forgot that, or forgot to note that the primary purpose of government is to protect and also give welfare to It's citizen. And I think that is what Benjamin Netanyahu has considered. And Israel is also looking at the political angle to it on how to see where she can protect her territories and also to keep her citizenry safe. Now, Hamas streamlined the attacks on Israel. The question is, why did they go to that extent of streamlining the attack on Israel? And I think the answer would be that was to show the world that Israel can be attacked at any time, that Israel's security network can be beaten at any time. And the sole reason is, just like Prof said, is to ridicule Israel. And a man whose enemy proposed in his heart to ridicule, and the man gets to know that this enemy wants to ridicule me, and indeed the enemy took steps to ridicule that man, and you say the man should not react. I don't think that should be it. And that is why now those who want the prime minister's seat just now would also want to connive with the external forces to see how they can use it to cheap blackmail the person of Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel. And that is why you see a lot now, to the extent that even the committee has been disbanded. Then some persons say, oh, we want it to go through legislative flavor. Let's give this war a legislative flavor. For goodness sake, what is there in giving war a legislative flavor? What is there in it? After all, war is something that when it happens, you don't know the direction it may go to an end. So now, why are we saying that, oh, it must go through the legislative process before any attack or whatever? So that already is an impediment on the prosecution of this war. And I think Netanyahu, who has, with his wealth of experience, knows what to do. And that is why Israel, to my mind, must go on to see that they achieve the purpose of prosecuting this war just now.
All right. Now, there is an adage that for you to really go on a full-blown war, so to speak, definitely you also know how to play the politics internally. Can one it is that Benjamin Netanyahu is losing the politics internally, knowing fully that this time around the war is really costing him so much?
No, the burden of leadership is what he is facing. You do not get 100% rating approval for any leader in the contemporary world. Again, it's a democratic system. People are free to express their own opinions. And the opinions that they express are their own opinions. But if you aggregate those opinions, it cannot become a popular rating mechanism against a particular leader. So whereby you may now decide that, okay, this person is losing his popularity. He may have to go through the process of a confidence vote that may uphold his position or may ask him to step down from the office he is occupying. That is not before Netanyahu right now. I don't think Netanyahu is the problem here. I believe Netanyahu's challenge is more of a personality challenge. People are seeing him now as a hardliner. Maybe, as at October last year, when he said they will go all out against Hamas, they thought it would just be a casual talk, that he will not go to this extreme. But Netanyahu is seasoned in the politics of survivor. Israel has survived from 1948 till date because Israel has followed the simple rule that for every Israeli life that is taken by Palestinians, a consummate number of Palestinians will be made. It sounds like the Mosaic law of an eye for an eye, but that's the only reason why Israel has survived. Let's not get moralistic. This is power politics. The members of Hamas that launched attack on Israel in October did not consider morality. They did not consider the fact that they were breaking into homes and carrying women and children. They did not consider they were shooting people on live video, broadcasting it for the whole world to see. That kind of barbaric act in 2023 was condoned by Hamas and their supporters. Israel has woken up and responded. In fact, the first flaw in the whole situation was that people judge Israel and say, oh, Israel, as strong as you are with your iron dome and everything, what happened? So Hamas could breach your defenses effortlessly. That alone can bring down the government of Netanyahu. But Netanyahu's government rose to the task responded immediately. Within hours, they've started chasing members of Hamas, started recalling some of those. In fact, they've gotten back some of the hostages immediately. And that is what has saved the Netanyahu's government. The response time was quite short, and the response was not just decisive, it was positively productive. So Netanyahu's challenge is not Netanyahu facing the ordeal before him. It is Netanyahu as a person who is being seen by some persons that is too hard on this trajectory that is following. And those who may not want to go the whole hog will now begin to find one way or the other to malign his person and damage his credibility. But that will not help them. Even if it does help them, it will not help the state of Israel. So it is the state of Israel that we should be considering. The first question will be, is this what majority of the Israelis would want? Of course, there have been dissenting comments, there have been protests, even within Israel, by young Israelis, by people from different groups within Israel. Both Palestinians that live within Israel, Arabs in Israel, Christians, Muslims, Jews. Some of them have come out to say, no, this thing is getting too deep. Others are supporting. In most of the Western states, the majority of the younger persons are not supporting Israel's move. Universities in the US are having a tough time now.
Yeah, protesting for
controlling
and
their
against
students
yeah.
who are insisting that Israel is going too far. No, okay, Israel is going too far. What is the way forward? Nobody has offered a solution. So it is not just to condemn and complain. It is to give a proactive response to say, okay, Israel, if we do this for you, you will get this in return. I have not gotten any confirmed response, whether from the Arab states or from the Western youths or from the Gen Z that are saying Israel is doing too much. What should Israel do differently? I have not seen that.
All right. Now, if you take a look at the war, the way it's going right now, back and forth displacement of, how would I put it now, Gaza citizens, all in the name of fighting Hamas, eliminating Hamas. You get to see that right now they're going towards the east, according to a report. That is the base of Hezbollah. Do you think if there's an all-out war against Hezbollah, do you think that Israel is not biting more that it can chew, Barrister?
Israel has taken survey of what the war looks like. And at a point, Israel did mention, the person of Netanyahu did mention that whatever it would cost Israel, that Israel will ensure that she gets result from this war. I remind you, when the attack was carried out on the 7th of October 2023 on Israel, Netanyahu did say that Israel did not start the war, but Israel will finish it. And I think that is the position the man is holding until now. And I think a reasonable person would also want to hold that position till this very moment. So whether Hezbollah, whether the other ISIS, whether whatever terrorist group you think can come together and begin to say they want to stand before Israel, Israel is like a moving train at the moment. It will crush anything that stands before her. And that is why, you see, they've taken time to count the costs. They know that the terrain they are heading towards now is a base for another dreaded group, another dreaded organization. And Hamas, we may be looking at it that, oh, because Israel is successful with the battle against Hamas, oh, maybe Hamas does not have the might and strength to stand. No, it's not. That is not correct. There is this synergy amongst the terrorist organization. They have this support, a kind of bloodline connection, and they have so carried it out to the extent that Israel knows that, look, we are going to face tense. The war is becoming tense. Because if you look at the report, the spokesman for the Israeli force did say some days ago that, look, that the war is getting tense, that it may not be easier to eliminate Hamas, but Israel will ensure that that is achieved. So there is this determination, there is this zest amongst the forces, and there is this also synergy even amongst the Israeli forces, and they are determined because they see this as the only epoch for them to achieve peace in the Middle East. Because if that is not achieved now, then the question is when? And that is why the Israeli force is saying that, look, we will go all out. Be it Hamas, be it Hezbollah, be it any other terrorist organization, we are ready to crush them. And I see the determination on the faces and the mind of this force. So, and I think, to my mind, that they are bent on achieving what they are. And I think they can.
I say they don't bite more than they can chew.
No, they are not at all. Israel has done it before. Israel will do it again.
Interesting. Well, Don, do you share his opinion? Because he said now, the war, he said Israel has done it before, Israel can do it again. The war right now is tending towards the Israel. We have the Hezbollah militia group, and they are not holding back since this would have been throwing rockets and missiles at Israel. Those have been intercepted by the Israeli drones, and of course the drone of the allies, you just name it. But adding Hezbollah into this particular mix, do you think Israel will be biting more that she can chew?
In 1945, before the Second World War ended, the U.S. forces in the Pacific theater of the war did a long-term projection. And they came up with an evaluation that showed that if they were to continue fighting from island to island, because the Pacific theater of war has a lot of islands in Indonesia, in fact in the Southeast Asian Sea, many islands. And the Japanese had already planted forces in most of these islands. And the Japanese were not going to give up. The Japanese had a rule, the Code of Shido, that they do not retreat, they do not surrender. And when you use the rule of no retreat, no surrender, what does that mean? It means you want to die fighting. Okay. The Japanese also started suicide bombing attacks on American warships. They will load a plane with bombs, fly the plane straight on American warship.
Just crash into the warship.
Crash into the warship and do extensive damage. They call them kamikaze fighters. So the Americans did all this study and came out with the report that if they were to continue the war using the normal conventional method, that they were going to lose 25% of their fighting forces at the end of the war. As at this time, by April, May 1945, Germany had surrendered. Japan refused to surrender. And they were still fighting as at August. That was when the Americans said they have the solution to the problem. They already had the atomic bomb. That was what forced America to use the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and in August 8 and Nagasaki on August 8. And when the Japanese saw the level of destruction that resulted from those two bombs, they surrendered. They broke their own code. Now, let me use the historical analogy to explain it in terms of Israel and Hamas now. Hamas thought Israel would not go this far. They thought Israel will always use the normal, let us follow the rules. You see, the world will always say, Israel, calm down. The world has not been able to restrain Hamas from attacking Israel. Israel has been attacked. Israel is retaliating. Israel will always retaliate. And Israel has survived because Israel retaliates on every occasion she's attacked. The distinction, as I made at the beginning, is that this time, Israel has gone beyond the expectation of every other person. Because in other cases from 1948 to 53 to 50, so to 67 to 73, it has always been Israel versus countries. Egypt, the Arab League, Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, all of them ganging up against Israel.
Even Iran also.
Iran, good. But this time, it is a terrorist group. And this is more dangerous because these ones don't wear uniforms. They mingle with citizens. They are inside every home. So you don't really know them. So what I said from the beginning is what I'm reiterating now. That Israel has said they want to reduce the threat competence of Hamas to nothing. And they've gone very far in that regard. In fact, they have achieved that maximally. But right now, Hamas is in disarray. By moving people up and down, of course, it will cost a lot of, in terms of lives and properties. We cannot run away from that. War is ugly. Let me use the Benin word for you. Koimo say, war is ugly. You don't expect to make an omelette without breaking eggs. When you say you start a war, it is human beings that are going to die. It is not that people will die. It is a question of how many persons are going to die. So in this situation now, Israel has started the engagement. Israel has also said they will make Hamas irrelevant so that Hamas will no longer be a threat. Have they succeeded to that, achieve that objective? As of today, I will say yes. They've tried. In fact, they've done to a large extent what they set out to do. And if you say they are going towards Hezbollah without not escalating the battle, that will not be a problem, because if they've dealt with Hamas, is it Hezbollah they cannot deal with? Hezbollah is collaborating with Hamas. Hezbollah is linking from Lebanon, particularly through Jordan, to attack Israel.
And don't forget also the connection to Iran.
And Syria. So you see, that's why I said at the beginning that it will escalate the theater of engagement for Israel. The question you would ask again is Israel ready for that? Israel is ready. Israel is ready. Israel has made a pronouncement that we are done with this level of intense activity against Hamas. We are going this way. That's a statement of intention. So it's not as if they are asking. They are not asking for permission. They are making a pronouncement as to what they intend to do. It is left for the people, Hamas and Hezbollah, that are left to start either looking for safe haven or to start dropping their weapons and considering negotiating. And Hamas is giving conditions to Israel that Israel must be ready for unilateral ceasefire. Israel said, you cannot even give us conditions under this condition. It is we that can dictate the pace and dictate the conditions. Because Hamas is also relying on the fact that the world will always become moral and say, oh, you've done too much damage, slow down. The Arab nations that are supporting, of course, they will not openly support Hamas. But at least we know that Iran, which is not an Arab state anyway, is openly supporting Hezbollah and is giving collaborative support to Hamas. We do know that they've sent drones to Israel. Iran is not hiding their own support. We know. And Iran is a major power player in the Middle East. We also know that. But I have not heard Iran make a pronouncement and say, okay, those Hezbollah fighters that have had problem with Israel or those Hamas fighters, move over to Iran. We've not heard that. We've not heard of the Gulf states, the Arab states saying, okay, let us bring in people and come together and say, okay, let us find a lasting solution. We've not heard that. All we are hearing is always that Israel should calm down. Israel should be tolerant. Israel should not use excessive force. That's the only part we hear. Okay. And that is the part that is making this thing intractable. Because you're only asking one party in an entanglement to maintain the composure and be decorous. When the other party is uncivil, is uncut, and is using everything at their disposal to decimate.
All right. Now, since both of you have agreed that Israel have achieved their aims more than what the world expected them to achieve, is it not high time they retreated? You've done what you wanted to do. You displaced from north to south, south again, back again to north. Is it not high time you stopped? Barrister.
The retreat can only come if there is a surrender. Just now, even Hamas is still, though they are on the run, yet they are making a lot of noise. Israel wants a situation where nobody will hear their voice any longer. And I think if Hamas really do need peace, it is time to give up, to tell Israel, okay, we don't want this any longer. No, and not them giving Israel condition. They don't have the moral justification to begin to dish out conditions just now. I think Israel has both the knife and the yam. So Israel should be the one that should give the condition. However, the situation just now will continue for some time because hence Israel is determined to go towards another direction. So we may see another round of conflicts again. And just like we have opined, I see Israel not relenting because the only way Israel will have peace, after all, the saying goes, he who wants peace must first prepare for war. So Israel has prepared for war for a very long time.
But they've done what they can do in Gaza. What are they still doing?
No,
you said they've conquered more than 70%, more than 80%. Right now, Hamas, they are retreating. Though they are still fighting, but they are retreating.
What is wrong
They've been decimated. Why can't they just stop? Don't you think that Benjamin Netanyahu is behind this? Not fully what if the war should stop.
What is wrong?
He'll be probed.
What is wrong with 100%? Who wants to probe him? After all, if you look at the international politics now, even at the international criminal court, it is divided. Some might even say, okay, let Hamas too cease fire. Israel should cease fire. After all, if we are going to try Israeli government for genocide or whatever, we are also going to try the Hamas leaders. So you can see that there is a division. That goes to tell you that the world is not an easy one. It is not the one that you just place your finger on and begin to make the dictations. That is not this kind of war. Mind you, the terrain is a very delicate one. And you need delicate decisions to survive. It's a survivor of the fittest. And Israel over the years have ensured that she survives in that territory. So she will continue to fight for her survival, while others will want to see how they can ridicule. The only thing they want to achieve is to ridicule Israel. That is the only aim they want to achieve. And to let the world know that, oh, this once upon a time almighty Israel can be penetrated. That is just what they want to achieve. And the question is, what would they gain in the penetration of Israel? To tell you that there is something behind the ordinary. So Israel wouldn't give up, and I think Israel will continue. So let the war continue as it stands.
Let the war continue as it stands.
Yes.
All right, now let me come to you because pressed for time, right? If we take a look at the situation right now, is there, in the sense that Israel just keeps on pressing hard, keeps on eliminating Hamas threat. Now they've done it back and forth, and they are targeting Hezbollah. But was Hezbollah in the picture, knowing fully well that people are calling for peace? Don't forget the complaint of Gantz. He said, look, we would have wrapped up this a long time ago, but you do not listen. He's talking to Benjamin Netanyahu. We would have won in all front. Now, what you rightly said, over 80%. So what are they still doing there? Don't you think there is some hidden agenda that Netanyahu don't want to drop on the table right now?
Well, as a moderator, I like your perspective, but it's the best you have taken a position against Netanyahu.
No,
I'm not moderating.
I have to ask the question because both of you are just there having the same view opinion, so I have to ask. They have questions.
Well, thank God we did not meet before this presentation.
But both of you met.
No, we met here, and we are presenting our positions differently. Yet we are directing our thoughts at the same objective. In this kind of situation, as you say, why is Israel so trenchant now? And I will answer you. It has been Hamas and the Palestinians that have been maintaining this kind of trenchant argument. Yes, Arafat went to Camp David. He kept saying no to agreements. Mahmoud Abbas went there. He kept saying no. In fact, they worked with these three no's. No deals with Israel, no negotiation with Israel, no Israel should exist. When you put those things up front, you have simply ruled out all avenues for peaceful resolution of conflict. When we are teaching about negotiation, we do say that you don't start negotiation with a fixed position.
But don't forget that Arafat is not there. Mahmoud is no longer there. These are new breed.
I agree they are not there. It is the same ideology that is still driving their argument. They still say to me that, you see, the bottom line, as I mentioned earlier on, is that the Arab nation said Israel should not exist. It's not Israel that said they should not exist. Right from 1948, that has been the argument. They do not want Israel to exist as a state. The two-state solution has always failed because Israel has agreed that the Arab states should exist. The Arab states have agreed that Israel should not exist. So those are irreconciliables. And when you have two irreconciliables, what will happen? It is the greater force that will now sustain itself. That's why Israel is sustaining itself and taking lands from them in as well as they are saying Israel. So anywhere they launch attack into Israel from, Israel will now sequester that part as a place that she has gained by might of conquest. And that right of conquest that I mentioned earlier on in the previous program here is that by 1948, it has been ruled out that you don't gain territory by conquest anymore. Right. But Israel has had to face that challenge in real time. Whether it is Mahmoud Abbas or it is Yasser Arafat, the ideology is still there. And that is why Israel says she will exist.
Thank you.
Do whatever she needs to survive.
Well, thank you so much. You can see right now our time is totally used up for the college to wrap right now on this show. But your analysis is top notch. Let's see how this definitely will pan out. Israel, they've gone back and forth. And right now, about going towards the east where Hezbollah is. But they are saying Israel can handle it. But do you feel that Israel can handle Hamas and Hezbollah together? What is the end game of Benjamin Netanyahu? All these and more will be reporting to you as they unfold in the war between Israel and Hamas. Bye for now.